Be going live, so let us know if you can see us, hear us, certainly not feel us because this is online and we don't run that type of show.
It's a family-friendly show.
Family-friendly show. Get out of town.
Oh, that's awesome.
All righty. So checking over here for a quick second. We are live on the YouTube.
The tubes. I'm checking now in our groups. Give me one moment. Let's see this load up.
So welcome everybody to the Agent Lead Source podcast. We are getting word from Pat, our producer, if he can see us where he needs to see us.
All right, so we've got us live in the Agent Lead Source group for sure.
Okay.
Next place, let me check the new agents group. I'm going to drop it into our Agent Lead Source Facebook group. If you're not a part of that, please feel free to message us to join.
All right, so we are there. You're saying, okay.
So now checking the new real estate agents group. I don't happen to see us there, Jaime, in the new real estate agents group, but I can drop the link in there if you want me to. I don't know if that's how you want to run it.
If you wouldn't mind, that would be perfect. I'll drop it in another group. So the online marketing group for real estate, I'll drop it there. So welcome everybody as we're getting set up for the Agent Lead Source podcast. Today we're doing real estate lead generation done right. So you're going to want to stick around. This is one that was heavily requested by basically everyone that we spoke to this week. So we kind of had to do it. There was really no other option at this point. So we are live on 3 groups that I can see us on. And if you're over on YouTube, I would love to see you in the comment section. D, hey, how are you? D, congratulations. Hey, thanks so much. I appreciate you. Then we have Hamim. Hey, how's it going? All right. So Joseph, are we good to go on the new agent one?
We are good to go. I dropped the link in there. If anybody wants to join us, they are more than welcome. I'm also going to drop it on my personal page, so we have some of my longtime connections join us as well.
Oh, if you're going to do that, then I'm going to have to do it then too.
Yeah.
If you're going to be that way.
I'm going to make sure everybody can see our faces.
So we are live on everywhere we can be. So this is the Agent Lead Source podcast. And just a quick housekeeping items here. We are live on Apple Podcast. We are on Google Podcast. We're on Spotify, Stitcher. Woo. We're basically everywhere. So whatever platform directory that you like to use, we're there. So thanks to Pat for getting all of that set up. He saved himself from the hot seat, which he was on last week for all of his stuff. We'll just leave it at
Congrats,
that.
Pat. Congrats.
He's kept his job. So that's good. So now I'm just going to share now in the public. All right. Awesome. So welcome everybody to the Agent Lead Source podcast. We're super excited that you decided to join us today. We are super just excited, period, that we're doing this, that we're talking about a very important topic that was heavily requested. But before we actually dive into that topic, I want to introduce to you the team. So my name is Jaime Resendez and my co-host is Joseph Gonzalez. Joseph, how's it going?
Good. It's going well. Thank you for the introduction. As usual, it's about 10 p.m. in Singapore. So eyes are being pried open with toothpicks, if you will. Not really, but it feels like that sometimes. Actually, I got quite a bit of energy today because I got a lot of sleep last night and excited to talk about our topic this evening.
Good, man. I'm excited. So again, I am super thankful that that we decided to do this, but also that you decided to use this time and we selected this time on your request. So the fact that you're able to stay up this late and still be productive is fantastic and a huge testament to your work ethic. And with that being said, that's the last time I'm going to compliment you on this show. So that is going to happen. And our producer, we know him as Pat. A lot of people have been messaging, well, what's his last name? I want to look him up. You can look him up if you want. His name is Pat Patterson.
Yeah.
So hook up with him.
Pat Patterson.
So Pat Patterson, our producer, which is telling us to get started with the show because at this point, nobody's interested in what we have to say. So real estate lead generation done right. That is today's show. That's our podcast today. And we really wanted to start in two very simple pathways. One we're going to call now business, and the other we're going to call later business, which Joseph actually coins a little bit different. And what does that mean? What does now business versus later business mean? That's what we're going to really unpack, and we're going to come full circle to actually you providing the service. So, Joseph, now business, when I say that, what does that mean for you?
Now business is business that is going to come to you immediately, business that you're able to convert and you're able to close, I would say within 30 days. That's now business. People are pre-approved. They have the money to buy a house and they're going to buy a house with you. That is now business. Versus later business, which I think, Jaime, I'll let you probably hit on that. But before we get to that point, Jaime, I want to say something. Those of you who may not know, maybe the 80s kids will know this. If you know what the now and later candy is, I was telling Jaime about this and he wasn't too familiar with it. He knew the packaging, but if you know what now and later candy is, we're talking about now and later business. So anyway, my point is now business is right now. Jaime, do you want to talk a little bit about what later business looks like for you?
Well, later business for me, that means business that you acquire later, business that happens later. You're not going to necessarily see it through your active efforts, through your marketing campaign, through your ads. You're going to benefit from it a little bit later. It could be a month later. I guess after the 30 days, it could be 6 months later, 2 years later, 5 years later. It's business that you're not going to see the direct fruits from your efforts today. So that's what it means to me. Did I do a fair assessment on that, Joseph?
Yeah, I think fantastic, right? I mean, and so as we start to dive deep in that, I think what agents want and don't realize about now and later business. Now business is fantastic to have. But I think most agents don't realize, and we kind of discussed this at some point, Jaime, where later business is what they really want. They think they want now business. Most new agents do want now business, but most agents want later business. That's mailbox money, that's new construction, that's money that's showing up, and you're like, oh, I didn't even know I had 5 closings this month, right? Where do those closings come from? And that's from the things that you did way earlier, as Jaime stated, that are now your later checks that are coming in, and you're closing 4 or 5 deals a month. And like one of my agents is doing right now, and I'll talk more about that later on in the show, but that's a later business. That's the type of money that you really want at the end of the day. You just don't know you want that yet.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let us know. We're curious. What does now business and later business look like for you? What is your understanding of that? Again, we needed when it comes to a topic like this, everybody can approach it in different facets. But when we were really going and preview or setting up for this podcast and the show was, what does it really mean? What is the foundation of it? And that's what we came up with. So let us know in the comment section, what does now business and later business mean for you? Because everyone's going to have a different interpretation and a different way to approach both aspects of that business, which is what we're going to really break into right now. So zeroing in on the now business. Now business is the Facebook ads. Now business is the mail marketing campaign that you have going on and continue to do. Now business is making those calls. Now, or cold calls, email marketing, whatever you're actively doing and continue to do with the expectation of seeing a commission check within 30, 45, 60 days. We're talking about the commission check, not necessarily from the service that you provide with going out and showing people homes, going out into the listing appointment, getting the listing appointment or getting the listing agreement signed. Those active things that you're doing, those things that you're looking for direct results from to measure them, that's what now business means. Is there another strategy that I'm missing, Joseph, for now business?
No, I think you hit most of them. I think I think you could dive even a little bit deeper, right? Like Facebook ads versus calling, what type of calling specifically, mailers, what type of mailers specifically, right? Those are the things that are going to get you that now business. And you could break it down into circle prospecting, to FSBO calls, to expired calls, right? Those are the those are typically when you're calling the now business type of things that you're looking at doing, right? So I think Jaime hit the nail on the head. I think it's just, do we break it down for everybody to say, what are the things that within the three topics that you just discussed that bring you the money, right? The now money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that the audience will appreciate a bit more granularity. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Because the audience that we have, real estate agents, of course, some of them are newer, some of them are more advanced. So let us know, again, what now business means to you, what later business means to you. So now business, let's talk about the phone calls. There's a lot of, when you join a real estate brokerage, if there's a strong enough education department or onboarding team, they're going to give you a marketing plan. And that marketing plan is going to heavily focus on now business because they just brought you on and they want to see some commission start flowing in. And as you do, not everybody has a long run rate. So agents, very few agents actually start from the outset being a real estate agent. A lot of real estate agents start with another career and then migrate into being a real estate agent. So they build up a little bit of a nest egg, give themselves a little bit of run rate, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year. But not everybody has the luxury of, all right, well, I'm going to give this a full year. If it works out, fantastic. If it's not, I know that I can come back to either my place of employment or somewhere else. So it's that the immediacy that is heavily focused on from newer agents and really any agent that that's looking to be successful, because going 4 months without a commission check is brutal and nobody wants that. So when it comes to the now business, we were mentioning calling expired. So calling expired is a great way for now business. So an expired is, for those newer agents out there, an expired listing is a home or a property that was under contract from a agent and a homeowner, and that agent had 3 months, 6 months, 12 months to sell the property, and at the end of the day, it did not happen. That contract, that agreement between the owner and the agent expired. So the next day, there is a whole list of expireds out there, and a lot of agents focus on that and that alone for the now business, because they understand that this property was on the market for, let's call it 6 months, and it failed to sell. So they have somebody that is frustrated with the agent that was not able to sell the property, but also the need is still there. So they know that the timeline between them and a commission check is relatively shorter. Yeah. Did I do a fair enough assessment on that expired?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you we can even start giving tips, right? Like we have to be careful, I guess, on the things that we're giving tips on. But there are so many things that you can do whenever you start calling these leads that are expireds, right? Obviously, number one, offering help, right? A lot of people don't understand this when we're talking about this now business and getting the now business. People just want somebody that can help them and help them the right way. The previous agent who had that listing, let's call it 6 months, went in with the idea that they're going to help, maybe, right? Or maybe they just went in with the idea of just getting that commission check, the now business, but they didn't ask the right questions. So this gives you, as a real estate agent, the opportunity to ask the right questions. What did the other agent do? What were they able to provide? Where did they fall short? Let me see if that's something that I can improve on that they weren't able to do. And if I can, here's what I'm going to be able to do for you. If I can't, I'll tell you that I can't. Like, being able to say you can be good for them and possibly be not a good fit will get you in the door as much as anything, because you're able to say, yes, I can do better. Here are the other things I can also do that they weren't able to do. And a lot of agents, when it comes to expireds, they all do a lot of the very, very similar things. And I don't want to knock anybody's trainings, because there's some trainings out there that have trained people since the 80s and they're exactly the same. But there are some ways to get around and improving the process for your future seller once you come across expireds. But yes, Jaime, I think you hit that again. I think that was a home run. That's exactly what an expired is. And you can get those through companies. We won't say the names. They can, if they want to be a sponsor on the show, they can get in touch with us. But there's some great companies that are out there that know and can collect lists. It's about 40% accuracy, I would say, on the expireds that come into the market every single day, right? And those are about to be plentiful here in the near future. Just throwing that out there. So if you want some now money,
if you want some now money. So no, I'm glad that again, we're not gonna, if you are interested in sponsoring, reach out to Pat. He's our producer and he's the one that does the negotiations. We just sign off on them. So if you want to inquire about sponsorship, we're more than welcome. We'll take your money. We're going after that Joe Rogan money. So that's what we're after. The only reason we're doing this, of course not, because, well, anyway. So when it comes to that now money and the expireds, we'll stay here and then go into at least two more examples of now business. So when it comes to the expireds, there's a way to do it organically where you actively go into the MLS and see which one was expired. Then you're going to go look for their information in the tax records, or you can get some various companies out there that will give you their information and will give it to you at scale. Now, their information is not going to always be right, but you'll at least have a starting point from a phone number, possibly an email. But something that is often overlooked is social media. Something that's often overlooked is going over to Facebook, going over to Instagram, going over to LinkedIn, and trying to find those individuals there and connect with them that way. And the reason that it's overlooked is, one, people just don't think to do that. Agents don't think to do that, but also it requires a bit more effort on their part. And when it comes to the calling strategy, which is what most agents gravitate towards, is it's just that quick. It's just that quick churn. So as soon as 6 o'clock hits, 7 o'clock hits, 8 o'clock in the morning hits, these sellers, they're getting bombarded with agent calls, because that is, again, that now business. It's not right, wrong, or indifferent. It's just a strategy that you can focus on for that now business, because it is important.
Yeah, I mean, even here's just a quick tip, right? We're in 2020. Majority of these people have cell phone numbers that are going to be listed on there. I would send out a simple text message that says, hey, once you're done fielding all these calls from agents that are bombarding you, trying to get your business and trying to sell you rather than help you, please feel free to shoot me a text message. Would love to talk to you and just see what I can help with, if there's anything I can help with at all. And right there, I just differentiated myself from 99.9% of the real estate agents that are out there, sending a generic text message, one, and doing the generic same phone call that everybody else is, right? And so I'm saying, hey, once you're tired of dealing with those people, feel free to shoot me a text message. And now I have them chasing me versus me chasing them. It's a totally different concept. And they might text me at 8 p.m. that night. They might text me the next morning. They might text me 2 or 3 days from now, but they're going to get tired of getting the phone calls, right? And I've used this strategy in another process. I'm not going to talk about it now, but it's worked. I'll just say that, right?
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, I mean, this is why people tune in. That is fantastic, because nobody is doing that. Nobody is doing that. Everybody is taught one way. And again, you mentioned some, there's some strategies that have been around since the 80s, 90s, whatever. And they haven't changed. So there's two reasons for that. One, it's still working, but also it's starting to be, it's starting to not be as effective as possible. The consumer is way smarter than we give them credit for. And there's still that expectation that you need to sell them. Well, you really don't need to sell somebody. You just need to provide value. And I know that word is commonly thrown out there by a lot of people, value. But what does that mean? What does that mean? So we actually did a podcast. It was 2 episodes ago that we talked a lot about value. So I'll make sure to link that up in the show notes. Now, transitioning a little bit into, let's just do one more in the, what I would call the traditional way, which is, would be for sale by owners, focusing on for sale by owners. Again, bringing it back full picture. We're talking about now business, and then we're going to migrate into the later business. So we're still on the now business column. The for sale by owners, that's also another strategy that is continuing to be promoted, and it works. It's just not working as well as it used to. But as a brief description of for sale by owner, that strategy, that means that there are plenty of homeowners that attempt to sell their home by themselves, for sale by owner, without a real estate agent, either on the selling side, which is the buying side. I know it's confusing, but that's the terminology that real estate school gives us. And then the listing side. So that's where you commonly come up on, depending on the commission that you agree with the agent, is typically half and half. So the seller wants to take it upon themselves to list the property and sell it themselves without the guidance of a real estate agent. And the strategy that is commonly pushed out there is to reach out to these for sale by owners and absolutely hound them until they make the decision. And the only right decision is for them to list with you. Right, wrong, or indifference, that's the strategy. Is that a fair assessment of the for sale by owner strategy, Joseph?
100% fair assessment of what that is. So those of you who are new agents don't know that, or those of you who are maybe are veteran agents that don't work with a lot of sellers, that's exactly the strategy. That's how it's taught. I have a strategy that I've only shared with 3 people, I think, in all my time of being in this business. I think it's been 5 years total, not just selling, but also coaching and also working on the insurance side with real estate agents. But I'm going to share a strategy right now. And
get ready.
This strategy.
Get ready. Get the Venmo ready. Get the Zelle ready. Get the Cash App ready. Get the PayPal ready. I can go on all day if you need me to. Get ready.
This strategy will win you put it this way. My first 3 months as a real estate agent, as a new real estate agent, I like to assess things. I'm not like a super analytical person, but I do like to assess situations and say, okay, there's a problem. The problem has a solution. The solution has been the same for a really long time. Where's the new solution? How can I overcome what everybody else is doing to become the new solution in the industry? So I sat down with my broker at the time, was Remax broker, and said, hey, what can I do? Or here's an idea that I have. Let me know if there are any rules, any regulations against this. So we know that you cannot put a sign in a seller's yard unless you have a contract with that seller, right? Unless you're doing an open house, then at that point you can, which is obviously the main goal is to reach out and help them some way. So what we do, or what I did was I said, I'm going to beat every single real estate agent. I'm going to call 5 for sale by owners. That's all I'm going to call. And I'm going to test the strategy out and have a conversation with them. Hey, Susie, this is Joseph Gonzalez. I'm not calling to list your house. That's not what I want to do. I'm calling to see if I can help you. Okay, Joseph, hey, pleasure to talk to you. I hope you're not calling to get my listing. No, that's not what I want to do. Here's what I want to do. I know that you have a lot of agents calling you and they're trying to list your house. And again, that's not what I want to do. What I want to do is I want to help you. I understand, and hopefully you understand, that you're going to have buyers that want to come see your house, and you're not going to know if they even have the money or if they can get pre-approved to buy your house. Does that make sense? Yeah, Joseph, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, would you want to know, Sally or Susie, who the people are that are coming in your house? Yeah, I would. Would you want to know that they have the money to buy your house? Yeah, that'd be fantastic to know. Fantastic. Well, here's what I can do. I'm not trying to list your house, but I have a loan officer that I work with. And that loan officer can allow me to put their sign with their face on it in your yard and their phone number. What's going to happen is people are going to drive by, and whenever they drive by, they're going to text the phone number, and it's going to go to the loan officer, and the loan officer is going to see if that person has the money to buy your house. Because you don't want to waste time showing somebody your house that can't even buy it. What if they're a burglar? What if there's something wrong with that person? You have no idea. But my lender will actually have the conversations, fill them for you, so you don't have to talk to a whole bunch of yahoos, and then they can come look at your house. How does that sound? Would you rather have that or have a bunch of random people walking through your house? Oh, I'd rather have a sign in my yard. Fantastic. I'll come out today. What's a good time? 3 signs in the yard in a week, right? Now, this might be over the head of a lot of people right now. But what I just did there was I built a relationship that was so strong within about 3 minutes of this, maybe even not even that long, 3-minute conversation, telling them what the objections are, getting over their objections, and saying, do you want random people walking through your house? Hell no, I don't want random people walking through my house. I would rather know that these people can buy my house. And so for us as real estate agents, that's now money, because one, I'm in the future, I can say, here are all the things. If you decide to list, here's a pre-listing package. If you decide to list, here's my selling package, right? This is what I actually do, but I want to make sure I build a relationship and show value to you first by getting you with my lender and getting them to see if people are pre-approved. And then later on, guess what? Mr. Gonzalez can come in and put a sign in the yard. All right. So anyway.
Joseph, you know what you just did there? We actually have to delete this podcast because you provided too much value. You provided too much value. We're going to need to delete this, and I'm going to rip that off. I'm going to put it behind a paywall, and I'm going to charge people $500 to do that. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to join the ClickFunnels Mafia and just oversell everything without providing that much value. That is fantastic. That is fantastic, Joseph. That is what this podcast is about. At one point, I'll come up with a good strategy like that and I'll share it. But until then, you're going to have to carry the load. That is fantastic, Joseph. That is, and for the agents that did not capture that, which I'm not going to speak to the your intelligence, because that's not what that's about, but you need to listen again. You need to really listen again, because that is fantastic. That's something that you did not hear from a lot of other, people that will charge you that amount that I just shared with you. That's just perfect.
I've not heard it from a single other coach out in the market right now. Not a single one. And not to say I'm the best. I will never say that. That's not the type of person I am. I'm just saying there are better strategies. There are newer strategies, and they work, and they're proven to work.
That's fantastic. So again, folks, if you did not catch that, please press the rewind. We don't have time to get into that, but we might actually need to come back to it again and again. But really, that is fantastic. That's a great way to get that now business. That's the perfect illustration of doing the now business strategy. And it's not something that you had to go and pay a coach $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, $20,000, however much you're paying, doesn't matter. It's just something that we're going to tie that right there in this little segment into the later business, because this is a perfect example of later business. And you're going to see this in this podcast. Not only are we sharing information on how to do things, but you're also going to see behind the scenes of how two professional marketers, Pat and Joseph, how two professional marketers actually go about their business and how they're scaling not only into the now business, but into the later business. So Joseph, that's fantastic. I said I wasn't going to compliment you again, so I guess you took that as a challenge.
It was a challenge. It was as soon as you said it, I said, okay, let me hear him say something that I can challenge him on that particular situation, so I can get one more compliment I can fish out of you.
That's it. That's it. We're done. So that is that blew my for sale by owner example by a mile. So I'm not even going to try. So let's go on to the next one. That's the beauty of being able to transition like that. We're going to pivot. Yeah. So let's talk about the PPC, pay-per-click strategy. So there's a lot of agents, rightly so, that want to get Facebook ads up and running and actually working. They want to get Instagram ads up and working. They want to do Google ads, YouTube ads. So that's what's being sold a lot more, because there's that promise and oftentimes that oversell that this is going to lead to instant results. Yeah. And a lot of that time, that's not true. But even when there are some results, let's just call them leads that are coming in from these campaigns, a lot of those just are going into your inbox, and you're not knowing how to follow up with them and actually convert them. At some point, those leads will convert. Everybody is looking for a place to live, whether they may be renting now and buying in the future, or they may be set now but sell in the future. Everyone has a housing need, right? So it's in this podcast, actually, a podcast ago, we were talking about the follow-up. So that one, I hate to plug our own podcast, but we kind of have to at this point, because we do a great job on showing you how to convert those. But when it comes to the pay-per-click strategy and the now business, what's super important there is that you're addressing the need that you say that you are. So what does that mean? That means that if you're going on Google and paying Google a good amount of money to compete with the keywords that are being searched, so somebody that types in how to sell my house fast, those keywords, those are expensive in every market. So everybody and their grandmother wants to be at the top of the search page whenever somebody types that in. So with that, you need to have not only an understanding of your keyword research, you need to have an understanding of what those people that are searching for that information, you need to have an understanding of what's going to motivate them in your ad copy. So what you're going to present to them as a solution so they can click on your link. And then you also need to do a fantastic job of giving them the answer instantaneously or as quickly as possible while building trust in you. So tying all that in together, somebody that's looking for how to sell my house fast, you're going to provide the solution in the ad copy, and you're going to give them something fantastic in the landing page or in the website that's going to solve their problem. And you need to be building credibility incredibly quickly. So providing something, just give you an example, providing a video on the landing page, giving them some 3 tips on how to sell their house fast. And if they want the complete checklist, they can click the link down below, give you their email, their name, their phone number, and their address, and boom, you have a lead. So that's that synergy that you need to have. And what happens a lot of the times, especially with paid advertising, you run a general ad to general keywords with a general landing page. And at that point, you get frustrated that nobody has called you and you've given Google Ads $1,000.
Yeah. I think that's a good point, Jaime, right? That people, they have it. I say agents have a hard time putting it all together, right? And you have to think about all these things that Jaime said, right? It's the offer, it's the value that you're providing, and then capturing that information. And then you go a step further, as you said earlier, making sure that you're taking the opportunity to come all the way back in and follow up with these people properly after you've provided them with what they've asked for. And I think that then takes it into a whole nother category as we're talking about PPC, Google, and PPC, Facebook, right? Pay-per-click on both these platforms. Sorry, my calendar's popping up here. On both these platforms, now we talk about the follow-up and how we start categorizing people into now and later business, right? So for you, Jaime, how would you categorize your leads that are coming in, right? Your leads are coming in from Facebook ads and your leads are coming in from Google. How would you categorize them between your now business and your later business?
So with the now business, the Facebook leads that come in, they're going to go through a filter process and really understand where the consumer is. So taking one step back before I fully answer that question, depending on the ad that is being run, I have a general expectation of the leads that are going to come out. So with that example that I went, the how to sell my house fast, they're closer. They're a lot closer to the decision of, which realtor will I use to actually sell my house, versus somebody that Googles, should I refinance or should I sell? Or what are the, how much our house is worth right now? Something like that. So they're a little bit further from the decision point. So depending, to answer your question, Joseph, depending on the ad, it gives me a good understanding of what's going to happen, what type of leads are going to come in just from the ad that I present on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, Google, anywhere else. It gives me a good understanding of the lead that I'm going to receive. For the most part, you're not going to, it's not going to self-qualify everybody, but once they enter your funnel, you need to have a way to filter those. So we talk about ISAs quite a bit. So you have a phenomenal program that you help real estate agents on how to qualify them either themselves or with ISAs, which, I mean, at this point, if you haven't, if you're not integrating ISAs into your business and really scaling it, then I suggest that you check that out. So once that happens, you're going to put them into different sequences. So somebody that is expressing an interest on in a certain neighborhood that is pre-qualified, they're going to receive more attention than somebody that is, well, I'm just browsing. I think that we're going to do something here after the new year, blah, blah, blah. So you can have a ready-built solution follow-up system for them, because they are not going to respond to the messaging of, fantastic. Let's go look for a house. So if
Yeah.
you do that, you're wasting your time and you're wasting their energy and time as well, because you know that they're not going to make a decision at that point. Does that make sense, Joseph?
Yeah, it absolutely makes sense. I think you could even, I don't know if I should break it down further, but I think your point makes complete sense. So I'll give another example of how I would also break it down. Actually, I had a call with 4 of our agents that are in one of our placement programs that have assistants now. So the conversation that we had was, this agent has 500 leads, right? So 500 leads in the last 30 days, which is almost impossible for anybody to follow up all the leads, right? So with those 500 leads, the conversation is, I need now business versus later business, which makes sense. I want checks today, even though you want 10 checks later on in a month, right? The conversation that I looked at whenever we're talking about now versus later business is, how are you categorizing your leads based on credit score? Do you know that? What about their job history? Do you know that? Do you know their income, right? These are going to be categories that are going to help you place your agents in, let's call it tiers of A level leads, B level leads, and C level leads, right? Somebody that has a 700 credit score that makes $75,000 a year, that has been in their job for 2+ years, is going to be in category A. Somebody that has a 650 credit score, makes $50,000 a year, and has only been in their job for a year and a half, might be a level B, right? Because their credit score can get a little bit higher pretty quickly, most likely. Income is where it needs to be by about a $250,000 house, depending on your market. And their job history might be able to skirt by, depending on the loan officer or loan company you use. And then your level C are going to be anybody who's that 500 credit score, makes a little bit less than they need to be making to buy a house in a $200,000 market. And they've only been in the job for 6 months, right? Not saying they can never buy a house. What I'm saying is, like Jaime said, level A are going to be people that need my attention now, so I can go make money right now. That's my now money. Level B is my now and kind of a little bit later, 60, 90, 180 days out. And then my level C's are my year to 2 year type people, right? But each one of those deserves some type of attention. You just have to be able to break down what that attention looks like. So that's the conversation that we had with an agent that has 500 plus leads and roughly 30 days or so, 30 to 45 days. And so that's how we broke it down to make sure that we're putting our focus where we need to put our focus, right? So hopefully that makes sense, Jaime. Just getting a little bit more granular there.
No, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. I like how you took my answer and made it better. No, so
I built on top of it. You gave me a base. You gave me a base.
Yeah. No, so that is fantastic. And that's really, well, Joseph, let me ask you this. Percentage-wise, how many agents would you say, I'm not even going to go into are using that, because I feel like the percentage is going to be very low, but how many agents would you say at least have an understanding of that's how they should be running their business when it comes to the leads that are coming in and categorizing them so they know where their talent, time, and treasure should be going?
Very low, very low. That's because most agents don't know that they're running a business, first off, right? So in running a business, they don't know their numbers. And that's not to say that it's just agents, right? That's just business in general. Most people don't worry about the numbers. They worry about the end result versus what will get them to the end result, right? The means to the end. They only worry about the end. So I would say, Jaime, that number, I don't know exactly what that number is, but we know that it's no more than 13%. We know that based on the failure rate in real estate. So to answer your question in short, it's a very low number of people who actually know what their numbers should be and how to actually categorize their business to make it more effective.
And that's powerful. That's powerful. You mentioned categorize. That's you can almost change that word to prioritize. That's where your priorities are going to go. Again, that time, talent, treasure, where is it going to be spent? So I love that illustration and that avatar, that profile that you crafted. Let's say somebody that has a 700 plus credit score and is making a good amount of income. They can even receive additional attention in the form of gifts, in the forms of, those are your coffee dates. Those are your continual, whatever little gadget you're going to buy and just send to everybody.
Yeah.
It has to be like USBs. Exactly. that is awesome. That is fantastic. That's a great way to place that. So as a reminder, if well, let's go back. If this is making sense, let us know in the comment section if you're either on Facebook, on YouTube, and if you are listening to this in the podcast as soon as it goes up, if you do a 5-star review, just simply from the strategies that we've just talked about, I feel like at least
Are you about to give
half of us have earned it. Oh,
are you gonna do a giveaway?
You smelled it a mile away. You smelled it a mile away. So the best 5-star rating that comes with a compliment, not compliment, a comment, will receive the Facebook Ads Mastery course from me completely free. Something that I sell for several $100s. It's certainly not 1,000 or 2,000. Again, I'm not part of the ClickFunnels mafia, but you receive that absolutely free. And I'll throw in a consultation for free as well. So I do charge for my time. I'm on the clock right now, so I'm really trying to drag this out as much as I can. No, so a 5-star review, whether you listen to your podcast on Google, on Apple, on Spotify, wherever you're listening to, the best comment that comes with the 5-star review will receive that, and we'll announce it in our next podcast. What do you think, Joseph?
Coming out swinging, pow, pow, pow. I think that's fantastic. That's fabulous. I mean, look, I think the reason that we started this one was because we want to be in front of people and provide as much value as we can based on experience and other people's experience that we've been in connection with. 2, it helps us to stay motivated as business owners, right? So those of you who want to help keep us going and rolling with this information, because I think we do provide some good value, and that's not tooting our own horns or anything like that. It's just based on results. Please go leave a review. And again, the best person the best comment / review is going to receive hundreds of dollars of free stuff from Jaime, which I can attest, based on the conversations that we've had and the numbers that I've seen, you are going to get a boatload of leads and helpful information from this course. So I look forward to seeing what reviews come in, and we'll see who gets some free information. And then from there, I can't wait to see how many leads a person gets that leaves the best review.
Yeah, and that's the important part. I'm glad that you included that. So selling a course, that's the easiest thing in the world, but getting the results and testimonials, that's the hard part. So if you hear crickets, if after somebody is touting that they sold X, Y, and Z amount of money through their funnel, through their sales page, through their course, and then you see 0 people willing to stand up to bat and share their experiences, then that tells you that something's wrong.
Yeah,
same thing for your business.
Yeah, you know what would be really cool, Jaime, is whoever leaves that best review, you can also bring them onto the podcast for a little bit. Give them a shout out after they get results with your course, right?
I like that.
Because I feel like that would be a really cool testament to this is why we do this, right? Like that person took the course, they're getting leads, they're getting qualified buyers or sellers, and now we're going to bring them on and show you the real person. We're not going to pay them because, one, we don't have the money to pay them because we're not going to do that. It wouldn't be realistic. And 2, I think that it just shows the viewers like we're not here just to talk. We're here to really give people helpful information and real results. So I think that'd be a really cool thing to bring that person on after they got results.
Absolutely. That is a fantastic idea. So I'll make sure that we follow through on that. So that we were just transitioning over to the later business. We were talking about now business, and as a small recap, now business can be paid or free. It just depends. Yep. Are you either going to pay for it with money or are you going to pay for it with time? Yeah. And really focus actively on getting now business. So transitioning over to later business, same things apply. You can pay for it with time or you can pay for it with money. But on the later business, the expectation of getting immediate results should not be there. So this is really where I want to tie back in kind of what we're doing just slightly, Joseph, in this podcast, in being live everywhere we possibly can, and investing your midnight, basically, time, and then my early mornings, which really is, I'm working anyway. So for why are we doing this? This is a later strategy. We're not seeing direct results and just being right up front. We receive a ton of comments. We receive a ton of questions on, hey, how should I do this? Blah, blah, blah. And we respond to them in kind, but we're not out there actively trying to get that credit card or actively trying to get a check. This is more of a later strategy. This is a strategy that we're going to win regardless. And that's boastful. I understand that. But there's that confidence that we're going to win regardless. But we understand that this right here is not, I can't necessarily say, hey, I got 5 course sales. Hey, I got 10 consults, or hey, I got 10 people in my agency, or I got blah, blah, blah. We're not going to be able to do that direct thing, but here's what we know. We're going to be seen, we're going to be known, and we're providing value to where when a decision of either working with whatever service that Joseph provides or that I provide, whenever that decision comes up, we're going to be in the running because we've been there every single week.
Yeah. And that's a good point, right? For the later business. If you can learn these strategies that we're actively showing you, and I've talked about Gary Vee on this podcast before. He talks about the long play, right? And that's essentially what we're doing. And if you can learn to do the long play, where if you're a loan officer or you're a real estate agent and you're providing tips on how to buy your first house, how to buy your second house, how to sell your house, how to get the best rate, when's the best time to buy a house. Like when you're doing those type of things and you're just on here talking like we're talking, people see your face more often. And what's going to happen is you're going to be at the grocery store. This has happened to some of our agents. You'll be at the grocery store and the seller's going to walk up to you and say, hey, are you so-and-so? I saw your video. We're thinking about selling our house. We'd love for you to come by and check it out. And you're going to be like, man, that's so weird. But that's what happens because you're in your own market, and luckily your market is smaller than our market. Our market is in the entire United States, Canada, Australia, anywhere they speak English and sell real estate. For you as a real estate professional, that later business will come if you just stay consistent. Once a week, once every 2 weeks, doing the type of stuff that we're doing, you're going to make more money in the long run by having your face out there and just being consistent with providing helpful information. And it doesn't have to be like super professional. You see Jaime and I, Jaime is in his little office. I'm at my office right now. I have some headlights on and I have this huge light, which you don't have to buy one of these, but that's it. And then you guys are seeing this video. I'm on an iPhone right now talking to Jaime, right? And having this podcast. So anyway, to answer in short, what Jaime stated was, if you do these type of things and you follow what we're talking about and you follow what Gary Vee talks about and just be consistent in your content weekly or monthly, you're going to have people that come later on that become part of your process and part of your business at the end of the day.
Absolutely. No, I love that summary, and that's spot on. And really what I really wanted to get from, or really articulate in this podcast is, this isn't an or. This isn't do this or this. Yeah. Because there's downsides to focusing on just one strategy. If you're focusing on just the long game, well, let's hope that you have that 12 months worth of run rate, that you're not going to get that commission check. If you focus on just the now business, just churn, prepare to get a good, an onslaught of business early, but you're never building to where when you're ready to take the foot off the gas pedal, then business will start coming to you. So if you just continue doing the short term now business, and that's the only thing that you focus on, the retirement plan, that's kind of difficult because you're treating it as a transaction, as a transaction. And if you're not picking up that phone, if you're not doing that door knocking, if you're not doing whatever strategy you're doing for the now business, or the moment you stop paying Google or Facebook their check, then there goes your business. If you're not going out and just stacking up your wins and focusing on that long game, then if you stop doing what you're doing now, in 5 months, in 1 year, in 5 years, you're irrelevant. That's just how I see it, Joseph. I think along the term, I think in one of the podcasts we talked about the YouTube strategy and how that is pretty much forever.
So you take the information, you redo the information or repurpose the information and put it on YouTube, right? And now you have content that's consistently out there, and somebody's going to come across it and they're going to reach out to you. And like my YouTube channel is not fantastic. It's just random stuff that I decided to talk about. And I have people message or comment, and I get an email about it all the time, right? So you just have to keep pushing and know that maybe your content's not always going to be perfect, but as long as you're consistent, people are going to know who you are. And that's where the later mailbox money starts coming in, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And another later strategy, just trying to get into some different viewpoints, because there's some agents that swear up and down by door knocking, swear up and down by video making. Some of those have their elements in the later as well, but you can almost say follow up. You can almost do that on the later business, but I'll refrain from actually saying that and really making that direct connection. Another strategy that we can go into when it comes to later business, just something super practical, is towards the beginning of the year, there's something that happens for homeowners. That means, towards the beginning of the year, there's something that happens for homeowners, and that is that they get their property taxes assessed. So there's that. It depends on the county that you're in. Some of them are pink slips, some of them are yellow, some of them are orange. So they get their tax assessed, their property assessed versus, their property taxes assessed. I'm struggling with that one. So when that happens, a lot of homeowners don't realize that they can protest. They can contest that property taxes, their assessed value. So that's one thing. So educating them is just right off the bat. That is a strategy in and of itself. But if you wanted to take it a step further, you can actually help them and provide value by helping them contest those property taxes with them. You can do it for them if you would like, but what I suggest is actually with them, where you provide them some comps in the area that are favorable to their case. Of course, you want to help them win. At the end of the day, you don't want to go through all of that struggle and trouble to not have a favorable end result, because at that point that just would look bad on you. But giving them those, giving them a CMA, giving them those comps so they can go to the tax assessor, and protest successfully. That's a long-term strategy. They could live in that home for 5, 20, 30 years. And if you continue doing that, then it can get taxing, especially if you don't see the end result, meaning a commission check. But that's one strategy, just playing the long game, and you're going to continue being there.
Well, so to hit on that particular point, right? So we're talking about tax appraisals, and we're talking about contesting those tax appraisals, right, Jaime?
Yes.
So I worked with a real estate agent. This was probably 3 years ago, and now he's doing his own thing where he's located. But he got on the news. He got on the news because he was so good at tax contesting that the local news station contacted him about his process. So the point there is this: when you start talking about long game, like I'm sure that brought him several listings as well. But when you talk about long game, pick a neighborhood that you want to work in, that other agents are in, that are the ones who have taken over that neighborhood. And what you're going to do is you go in and you go to every door. If you want to door knock, if this is something that you're scared of and this is something that want to overcome, you can door knock, 1, or 2, drop a different color paper than what your tax appraisers drop. So if it's pink, drop a yellow. If it's yellow, drop a pink. If it's orange, drop a yellow, whatever, right? And say, hey, I'm a local real estate agent. My specific expertise is in helping you drop your tax or contest your tax appraisal. And then you say, if you want help, call or text this number. Really simple. Drop that there. Let them reach out to you. You can leave your business card attached to that sheet. And then if they want to do that with you, guess what, guys? Like Jaime said, if you do the numbers and you know this strategy and you're playing the long game, eventually you're going to get more and more listings over time. I'll give one more tip on top of that, Jaime, if that's okay with you, is if you're a numbers person and you really want to know which neighborhoods are selling the fastest and having the most turnover, go to the MLS, look and see which neighborhoods have 2 or 3 year turnover. And then what you do is you pound that neighborhood every single year. And you find out every single house, you meet every single neighbor, and that becomes your tax appraisal neighborhood, where you help them, each neighbor contest their taxes, right? And you can do it virtually, doing a Zoom call or Google Hangout call, or you can do it in person. And you will build a heck of a home sellers list that you will never have to do. Well, you still have to work, but you won't have to work as hard because you work hard up front, and that later business will start coming to you. Hopefully that makes sense. Comment if that makes sense, because I know sometimes I say stuff and it's quite a bit, but comment if that makes sense to you all, because I think that's a fairly strong strategy to do each year, actually.
No, absolutely. It's a repetitive thing. So let us know in the comment section if this is making sense. If you have any questions or comments in regards to the strategies that we've covered, especially the one that Joseph just mentioned, because that is powerful. It's, if you're starting to pick up a theme here, is the theme here is that you're getting different strategies that you're not hearing everywhere else. You're getting strategies that are, we can call them modern if you want. You can call them new. You can call them innovative. You can call them the best, whatever. I'll let you come up with the words. But you're starting to see these different ideas, and you may get excited about them. Oh my goodness, I hadn't thought about that. And there's some strategies that I haven't thought about as well that Joseph brings up. And I get super excited about that. But really, at the end of the day, we need to formulate a strategy. We need to get together and have a marketing plan that we go out and execute. Again, we mentioned that this isn't an or function. This is an and function. There's some now business, because at the end of the day, you have to eat. And there's also the element of the later business, because you want to continue building up that database to where if a year can go by without you ever having to cold call again, if you so choose. A year can go by, or, you know, after a certain, your 5th year, your 8th year, whatever, in the business, you don't have to pay a $10,000 check to Zillow every single month. You don't have to pay a whatever to Google or to Facebook. At the end of the day, Joseph articulated fantastic, that mailbox money, that is happening a lot for the agents that are able to apply that formula in a balanced formula of that now business and later business. And just rewiring your mind to think of it that way puts you ahead of a lot of agents.
Yes. Yeah. I think you hit it there, Hyman, by saying you need to implement, right? It doesn't matter if we talk about now and later business, if you're not willing to do the now, which for you as an agent is putting the plan together and saying, okay, these guys just gave me 5, 6, 7 fantastic strategies that have been proven to work, but am I going to do anything about it? Or am I just going to be excited for a couple of days and then let those ideas wash away from my head? Or am I going to write them down, or I'm going to go back and watch this, write them down, and then I'm going to implement at least one of these strategies and prepare for the other strategies. And if you're not doing that, it doesn't matter how much we talk if you don't implement these strategies that we talk about. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we have a comment here on the YouTube channel, actually several, but we're going to go with one because Pat is screaming into my ear that we need to get ready for the dismount.
Okay.
Why would anyone pay for leads when they can get them free, is a comment that was left.
Yeah.
Well, that's the goal, right? Why would anybody pay? I feel like that's a trick question. So why would anybody? Well, because the free strategies, well, one, you'd have to know what to do to get the free strategies. We've talked quite about a few. Well, we'll kind of leave it at that. Like, yeah, the goal is for you to get leads without having to pay for them. That is fantastic. But really, that's what this podcast was designed for, and several other shows that we've already covered go into the free strategies on how to generate leads. But if I absolutely want to pay devil's advocate and get a little bit more granular with that question, why would anyone pay for leads when they can get them free? Well, free isn't always the most scalable. You know, I'm just trying to play the other side because I'm having a hard time with that one. Free is not always scalable. So just coming up with an example, let's just say door knocking. There's a finite number of doors that you can knock every single day. Cold calling. There's only so much that you can do in a day. You can get the multi-line systems and call till you're blue in the face, but at some point you are the limiting gap. So if you're going to involve somebody else, it's either going to be a bot or it's going to be another person that is either working at your office or an ISA, but you have to involve different players or some additional players so then you can scale. So just trying to play the devil's advocate on that, or trying to entertain a little bit further.
Let me answer that question because I've worked with so many freaking agents, right? And so if you have straight hair, you want curly hair. If you have curly hair, you want straight hair. I don't care who we're talking to. At some point, somebody's going to say, I'm tired of free leads. And I don't care who we're talking to. At some point, somebody's going to say, I'm tired of paying for leads. So to answer that person's question in short, it just depends on who you are. Do you have curly hair? Do you have straight hair? Do you like paid ads? Do you like free leads? It just depends on what you want. And we're not saying one is better than the other because, to be honest with you, sometimes paid ads in one market just crush it, and sometimes free ads in another market just crush it. So, you know, to answer that person's question in short, it just depends on who you are, and you can't judge a person by what they choose if they're having success with it at the end of the day, right? I'll take both if it's making me money.
Absolutely. Joseph, we're getting ready for the dismount here. Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I think closing thoughts is don't be afraid to try to get now money, but you have to be willing to work to get that, right? To get now a business. And also be smart in strategically placing your database in a position that's going to allow you to categorize them from A to C. And if you can do that, you have your now business and then you have your later business, you will be successful for a really long time. And you won't be part of the 87%.
Bam, 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 bam. Joseph, what I would say is, you know, certainly listen to this podcast again and again and again and give us a 5-star. That'd be the first thing. That'd be a closing thought. But outside of that, because we're talking about practical ways to get started, and you've given a lot of practical ways. So I feel like I should probably do the same thing. Just break open this podcast and really focus on those two things, the now business and the later business. And think of it this way. If you're going to work 5 days, let's just call that, if you're in real estate, you're working 7 days, but let's just call it 5 days. Give yourself 4 days to work on absolute now business, because again, at the end of the day, there's mortgage, there's car payments, there's everything, there's life. You need to live at some point. So give yourself 4 days for the now business and give yourself the freedom and liberty for that 5th day to focus on the later business that you're not going to see direct results. And you're going to start seeing that once it really starts churning, once it's really, you know, off and going, you're going to see that pendulum swing the other way around. I'm not saying ever let go of the now business unless you absolutely want to, but you're going to see that pendulum work the other way around. And it's going to be a pleasant surprise that it's going to arrive a lot sooner than you would think. But the key is, back to your point, Joseph, you need to start.
Yeah, just get started.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, folks, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us joining us at our podcast as I stumble over my words to end this podcast. So the Agent Lead Source podcast, you can find us on anywhere that you listen to your podcast, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, everywhere. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.